Good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
Doing super.
Uh, Good. Well, thanks for coming. Um, well, we're at your place.
Glad you're here. You're always welcome.
uh, I wanted to interview you, besides the fact that you're my dad. Uh, but you're 69 years old, in better health than most 30-year-olds. Uh,
I don't know if I'd go that far.
well, it's a debate, but you're in great health. Uh, you've always uh, you've always stayed in good health my whole life. Um, and I wanted to see if you'd share some of your lifestyle uh, choices, and diet and exercise, and understand that that changes over time. Uh, but how do you do it?
Well, um, um, I guess I never have drunk alcohol to speak of. A beer or two used to, and when I was younger, every once in a while, and for the last 15 or 20 years, I've probably had two beers, if that. It's nothing special. I just don't care for it.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to drink, I would, but I don't, so I don't. Um, and I never did smoke. My dad smoked, your grandfather, and he smoked from the time he was 8 years old. And when he went into the Navy in World War II and went over to Okinawa and fought in the Pacific, uh, they gave him cigarettes in their rations, and they gave all the military people cigarettes in their rations. And
That's crazy.
yeah, well, the cigarette companies knew what they were doing. You get these young kids, 18, 19 years old, hooked on cigarettes, and they'll be buying cigarettes till the day they die. And that's my dad quit smoking about 20 years before he passed away. He was um, uh, probably 2 pack a day smoker, I believe, but we saw him smoking. We saw him die of lung cancer, and even if I hadn't smoked, that would make me say no. I don't want any part of that. But also, when we were younger, my two brothers and I, we would drive down the road and be in the car, and he would be smoking. And in the wintertime, the windows are rolled up, and we couldn't breathe. And so to this day, neither me nor my two brothers never smoked. So that's, to me, that's a big thing. I think nicotine and all that stuff that's in cigarettes, smoke, is poisonous to you.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate that we learned from my dad, don't do that.
That's probably more important than diet and exercise. That's a really simple thing. Just don't smoke. Don't put bad stuff in your lungs.
Yeah, that's poison. I read somewhere where if a zoo had a bad animal that they had to put down and kill, inside the zoo, they would shoot it with a nicotine dart, and it would kill it. So, man, I don't want to deliberately put that in my body, so I never did, and I'm grateful for that. As far as exercise, I have a relatively simple exercise program that I do, and I hate exercise. I mean, just to go out and exercise. A friend of mine once said, it was a lady I worked with, she said, I'd rather clean out the cat box than exercise. And every time I go out to exercise, I'm thinking, I don't have a cat, I'm glad, but I'd rather clean out the cat box than exercise, because I don't get any pleasure out of just going out. But about 5 years ago, I went to my regular doctor that I go to once a year for my checkup, and he and I have gotten to be friends over the years. And I told him, I said, I've got this pain in my left shoulder, and it's come on in the last couple of months, and just kind of won't go away. And he said, well, you're getting older, and it's probably arthritis. And I said, no, I'm too young to get arthritis. I was 62 or 3 at the time. And and he said, well, you go see this orthopedic buddy of mine, and he'll check you out. So went to see this orthopedic buddy of his, and he x-rayed me, and he said, oh, you got arthritis. And I said, oh, that's terrible, because I've seen people with like rheumatoid arthritis where they, they're all bent over and things, can't make fists or straighten their fingers and stuff like that. And he said, no, he said, you have arthritis because you're just older. He said, that happens. And he said, it's not the rheumatoid arthritis. He said, but and there's nothing you can do about it. It's not going to go away. And he said, but you can mitigate the effects of it by strengthening the muscles around your joints. And so he gave me this lifting program, weightlifting program, not heavy weights. He said you can start out with just 5 pounds, 10 pounds, it doesn't matter, but you have to have some resistance. And it consists of military press, curls, an exercise called the Arnold press, where you twist and turn. I named after Arnold Schwarzenegger, I guess. And then he just gave me the whole program: leg lifts, leg curls, several exercises to strengthen my shoulders. And so I've been doing that about 5 years now, and I've got my weights up to where they're still not heavy. I bench press 115 pounds. For a long time, I was doing 150, 160, but I couldn't do 10 of them. He said it's not. He said, at your age, you're not going to be a world-class bodybuilder. And I said, well, I really don't want to be. I just want to not hurt. And so he said, start out with low weights and a minimum of 10 reps. He said, if you can't lift it 10 times, well, then it's too heavy. So my military press is 65 pounds. So not a huge amount of weight. But when I first started, it was like 45 pounds. And I gradually built it up to 75 pounds. And like I said, I don't like to me, that's a chore to go out there and do it, because it takes an hour and a half to go through this every other day. So I really look forward to the day that I did it yesterday and I don't have to do it today. And so I was lifting the 75-pound military press, and I said, I don't like that's too much. I could do 10 or 11 reps, and you do that 3 times. So you're lifting it 33 times, 30 or 33 times. So I lowered it. I took 10 pounds off, and 65 pounds is not so bad. So now I do 10 or 11 reps of 65 pounds military press, and then I said, well, that's not so bad. So I wanted to make it where I didn't dread it. So I put the 65 pounds on my shoulders after I do the 10 or 11 reps of military press. I put the bar on my shoulders, and I do 20 to 22 or 3 deep knee bends with the 65 pounds on my shoulder. And I do that 3 times. So the weight program I've got is just on he just wrote it out on a piece of paper. And he said I don't care what kind of weight you use, 10 pounds, 5 pounds, but put some resistance on there. So I started out my curls with 10 pounds, and I would do 20 of those. Well, after a year, or probably so, I went down to Walmart and bought me some 25-pound dumbbells. So now instead of 10 pounds, I'm doing 25-pound curls. And then after I do the 21 or 2 curls, I'll do the Arnold press, which is real similar to military press, except you're doing it with dumbbells rather than a barbell.
You got that twisting motion. That's probably good for your shoulders.
Probably so. But the bottom line, since I started the program, It was about 6 months into the program, and I do it, I won't say religiously, but I try not to ever miss a day. I might miss one day, but I get it the next day. And I don't double up. If I miss a day, well, I just do it. And my shoulder does not hurt anymore. I mean,
Nice.
and it's nothing that it's, and that's all it is my exercise program, and I'd recommend, you know, asking your doctor about it. That's what I did, and he said, yeah, you got arthritis, but you can build up these muscles, and it protects them and protects the joint, and the arthritis is still there, but it doesn't give me any kind of pain whatsoever, and so that's kind of it. I mean, it's nothing special, nothing earth-shaking. It's just a fairly lightweight program, but it takes me 20 to 25 minutes to go through the whole set, and then I do it 2 more times.
Okay.
And so I'm doing everything 3 times. 3 sets of deep knee bends, 3 sets of curls, 3 sets of military press, and on. And
but you're doing one exercise after the other.
that's right. I'm not doing them. So every 20 to 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, I'm starting the routine over again. So and I do that three times.
You got it memorized now.
Yeah, for a long time I had my sheet of paper stuck up on the wall there in the barn, and I'd look. Okay, it's time to do curls now, and but now, yeah, I've got it memorized now, and but it's nothing complex, nothing secret. It's just doing it, and like I said, I don't enjoy it. I mean, I don't mind it. It doesn't hurt, but it's just today's exercise day, and it takes about an hour and a half out of my day, but the results are definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Not having pain anywhere. I mean, I don't have any ailments at all, and I've been blessed with good health, but the exercise is a huge part of it. So that's it. Nothing special. I don't take any kind of medication.
You take some supplements.
I take a vitamin and mineral supplement. It's a powder. It's called All One. Been around for 20 or 30 years, a long time. And again, it's just all it is just a powder that I mix with like Tang or some sort of sugar-free fruit, you know, to make it taste better. And that's all. It's just vitamins and minerals, and that's it.
You still eat some dark chocolate?
Still, I like a little dark chocolate every other day or so, but more because I like the taste rather than for the medicinal benefits.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it's supposed to be good for your health is just icing on the cake. But mainly I like it because I'm a chocoholic.
Yeah, me too.
When I die, they'll probably find an Oreo in my mouth, and I have to stay away from that kind of stuff. I don't buy them at the grocery store. Every once in a while, Ann will bring some Oreos home because she knows I like them, and I tell her, you know, if they're here, I'll eat them because I have no willpower whatsoever. If they're here, if ice cream is in the house, I'll eat it. So we never have ice cream in the house because I have no willpower, and that's just, I can't help it.
That's a big reason I do time restricted eating. I try to eat within 4 to 8 hours because I'll just feast the whole time. Once the window opens, I eat, and when the window closes, I stop eating. But Kim will tell you I eat sugar and ice cream and cookies. I try to eat a lot of vegetables and enough protein, but I have to stop myself because I'll just snack all day long. And we have these cinnamon sugar pecans at the house that are just like drugs. I just keep
Oh yeah.
going back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is a little off the wall, but I've been listening to some podcasts about guys who do breath holding, and to prolong their life, and there's a lot of benefits to that. And you were a big scuba diver. You still scuba dive sometimes, but I think growing up and when you were younger, you did it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that you could hold your breath for minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious if you attribute any of your longevity or your health as you get older to your practices as you were younger, and how did you get to hold your breath so long, and why did you do it? Do you think there are any continued benefits to that?
I hadn't thought about that in a while. Yeah, when I was in my teens, I guess starting about 15, I got interested in skin diving, scuba diving, because I've watched Lloyd Bridges in Sea Hunt on TV, on a black and white TV, by the way. We did not have remote control, but Sea Hunt came on, and I wanted to be like that guy. And then this was also in the 60s, in my teens, and Jacques Cousteau was doing his programs on scuba diving and with the Calypso and going around the oceans and doing all that. And so that's what I want. I'd like to do that. So I saved my money and bought a mask and fins and snorkel and eventually a tank and a double hose regulator that you don't see anymore. And I got interested in skin diving just without scuba, the tank, and to do that, to have any time down there, you got to be able to hold your breath, and so I just started practicing holding my breath, and I was in college at Stephen F. Austin and living in a dorm. We lived on the fourth floor and top floor at the dorm, and no elevators back then, by the way. we had stairs, and so one of the things I would do, I would hyperventilate. I would get at the bottom of the staircase and hyperventilate, blowing out, breathing in deeply and blowing it out. So you're blowing out CO2, because carbon dioxide is a breath actuator. If you don't have CO2 in your system, your body doesn't know that it needs to breathe. So you blow out when you see a skin diver, he'll and what that's doing is blowing out the carbon dioxide, and then you do that 5, 6, 7 times. I do it 10 times sometimes, so blow out the last one and take a really deep breath, and then I'd run up 4 flights of stairs without breathing. Get to the top, turn around, come back, and so
breathe on your way down.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, and but I was 17, 18 at the time when I was doing that particular exercise, and the longest I ever held my breath was 5 minutes. But it took a long. Took a lot of practice, and I've heard of pearl divers and sponge divers in the South Pacific that could hold their breath up to 9 minutes, but those guys are they're just superhuman. But 5 minutes was the longest. But I got to where I could do it with 2 minutes with not much effort at all. But it takes a lot of practice, because you have to build up your lung capacity, and that's just what I wanted to do back then. But I don't know if that has any. But because I don't do that anymore. I mean, I still go snorkeling and scuba diving sometimes, but we were down at Canyon Lake a month or so ago, and I was skin diving, and I'd go down to the bottom, and I was noticing I haven't been practicing this much, so that's why I can't hold my breath as long as I used to. Maybe 45 seconds to a minute, which doesn't seem like long, but
it's a long time.
It's a long time if you're not breathing. But I don't know if that had anything to do with my health or not, but it was sure fun.
Yeah. the things I'm reading is like a lot of the benefits from exercise is hypoxia, lack of oxygen to the brain and to the muscles, and when you exercise, the blood can't pump enough. The heart can't pump enough blood to the muscles, and so they're actually growing and learning how to survive without oxygen, and same with the brain. I don't understand all of the benefits, but I just as you were talking, I thought about that with your history. Growing up, I don't remember a lot of vegetables in the house, or
No.
but we uh, you've always been slim, and we've always stayed. Me and my brother always stayed pretty slim, and I don't know why. Probably we just there wasn't ever a lot of just food out on the counter. Just a lot of there wasn't a lot of snacking or grazing. It was just like when we had meal times, we ate. And did you ever have any kind of philosophy about um, nutrition, or was it just kind of just whatever we had around?
A lot of it just whatever we had around, but also getting back to where if the food is out there, if the cookies or the junk food is out there, it'll be eaten.
Yeah.
And if it's not there, you won't eat it. Like we have chickens here, and they lay eggs, and a lot of times I'll fix myself like a ham and cheese omelet, and that's the eggs right off the farm, and ham and cheese omelet, that's sausage and cheese or something like that. But as far as just a whole lot of like vegetables, we ate them, but there's some things I will not eat. I will not eat raw tomatoes.
Huh.
They're just, to me, they're just, you cut open a tomato and it looks like it's not finished yet. And but broccoli and beans and peas and lettuce, carrots.
So you won't be adding tomato to the fruit salad?
No tomato.
I love chocolate chip cookies, and I love donuts. Anybody who knows me knows that. I think I probably got my sweet tooth from you, and I think it's good to eat what you want, just not much, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And for me, in a specified window of time. But I think it's important to eat what you want, or otherwise you go crazy. You want a cookie and you don't eat it, you won't stop. You'll just think about it until you go get it.
Yeah, you're miserable. Yeah, I mean, if you want a cookie, eat a cookie or two, but eating 20, not so good.
Yeah.
And I've done it. I've eaten 20.
Yeah, me too.
20 Oreos, and
oh, that's easy.
Yeah,
and milk.
And then I don't dip mine in milk.
Oh. How do you eat your Oreos?
Just straight up. I don't twist them or nothing. But that's why we don't have them in the house very much. Now, when your kids come over, our Valley View kids come over, we'll have them because you give your grandkids cookies because they can get stuff here that they can't get at your house.
That's right.
And that gives them incentive to want to come over here. So we're good with that. But as far as having it, when it's just Ann and I here, the less stuff that's in there, the fewer opportunities you're going to have to go in and get it, because we live 20 miles from the grocery store, so it's not like we're just going to pop around the corner to the nearest Publix or Kroger and get a batch of ice cream. Because generally, if we don't put the ice cream in a cooler, by the time we get here, it's melted. In the summertime.
You mentioned you don't like to exercise, but you stay very active, and I'll do a video of the farm here, but it's got to take a long time just to keep the grass mowed and the horses fed and the cows fed, and just uh,
Mm-hmm.
collecting eggs. And uh, what's your typical day like?
Well, if chores around here, I mean, there's always something. I mean, it's not a big place, but there's just a lot of things to do, and then I create things to do too. I mean, you got the things that you have to do. You have to put out hay for the horses, cows. You gotta feed them cubes or horse feed, and you gotta make sure their water troughs are full. And so the chickens, you gotta feed them, you gotta water them, you gotta pick up the eggs, and then the fish in the pond. I feed them every day because it's not a very big pond, and there's no vegetation around it. So pretty much the only feed they get is what I feed them, and I feed them every day. Um, and and then you've got the mowing. Mowing is not very strenuous because you're just sitting on the lawnmower and riding it around. Um, and but the weed eating, that's about an hour's worth of work, just going around weeding around the trees and all the yard art junk. And so weed eating is fairly strenuous. I mean, 'cause you got a big gasoline engine and you're holding that thing, and after about an hour, you've put in a good workout because you're walking and you're swinging the thing, holding it up, and that's good. I like that kind of exercise.
Yeah.
It's exercise for the sake of exercise that I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
I'd rather weed eat the entire property than go in and do my routine. But I still do it just because I don't want to be infirm.
Yeah.
I see people who are my age and older that for some reason or other, they have some sort of ailment,
Yeah.
and I've been truly blessed with good health, and I think that activity is something that you got to stay busy. You can't sit down all day long. I mean, going in and resting and watching TV a little bit in the evening, you're resting, but during the day, I'm doing something. I'm in the barn working on projects, or I'm splitting firewood, or and splitting firewood with a gasoline log splitter. None of this axe stuff. A friend of mine said, "Well, that's cheating. You need to do it with an axe and a sledgehammer." I said, "No. If those guys back in the old days, if they had gas-powered log splitters, that's what they'd use."
Yeah.
But that's a lot of work too. That's very strenuous.
Yeah, just picking up the logs and then stacking them. It's not easy.
Yeah, a lot of the logs weigh 35, 40, 50 pounds. Pick them up and put them on the log splitter, and so that's very very good exercise. And hauling hay is exercise, strenuous exercise, because the small square bales that we use weigh 45 to 60 pounds each, and you pick them up off the trailer, carry them to the barn, stack them, and sling them up. Generally 4 high is what I put them at, or 5 at the most. You do that 60 or 80 times, and that's a lot. But I enjoy that because I've got something to show for it. When I get done exercising in my little weight area in the barn, I don't have anything to show for it except I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good after I do it. But after I get done splitting wood or hauling hay or cutting brush and hauling it, I can look at that brush pile and say, that's gonna make a good bonfire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've been given some pretty good DNA genetics plays a large part in the difference between you and other 69-year-olds. But I think we do have some history of heart disease and
Diabetes.
diabetes,
Yeah.
maybe dementia. I'm not sure. Um,
That scares the heck out of me.
yeah, but no matter what your DNA is, it doesn't hurt to stay active, and it helps. Um, I appreciate you talking with me, and this has been enlightening. Um, I don't know if we have time, but you want to do a little workout?
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I missed yesterday. Would have been my yesterday would have been my regular day in my rotation, but we were busy with the kids and stuff yesterday, so I didn't, and that's fine, because if I like I said, if I miss a day, it's not that big a deal. I'll catch it up the next day, and if we're out on the road camping or whatever, I don't work out when I'm camping. So when I might miss 4 or 5 days. So when I come back, just start it over.
Yeah.
You can always start. You can't go back and start, because you can't do anything in the past, but you can start today.
Yeah.
And if you miss a day, you can do it tomorrow. But main thing, I think you got to keep busy. You got to keep active, and no matter what. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
For whatever it's worth. Well,
I think that's good advice.
You mentioned genetics. My mother, your grandmother, she's 91 years old, and she does anything and everything she wants. She went camping with us a few weeks ago. She was on another camping trip with some other family members just the week of 4th of July, and she takes no medication at all. But she's just active. She stays active. Somebody said your mother's is like the Energizer Bunny. She just doesn't stop, and I think that's a huge part of her health is she's always doing something, and that's the example. Her and my dad. That's the example that I grew up with, and so that's, if I attribute just one thing, it'd be my parents. Just following their example.
They've stayed busy as long as I've ever known them.
Yeah.
Always out camping, mowing, cleaning up the creek.
Yeah. Yeah, cutting trees, dragging them to the burning pile. Yeah, that's where I learned how to like burning piles.
Yeah.
Cutting brush, and you got to do something with it. Might as well put it in a pile and throw a little diesel fuel on it.
Yeah.
Light it off.
Well, Pepaw, he didn't have any no in him. He one time I remember we were at the country, and there was a tree down in the creek, and he said here's, I had been cutting with the chainsaw, and he said go cut that tree and clear up the creek. And I said, but I'll get all wet. And he said, here, let me show you. And he grabbed that chainsaw and just went right in the water. He always had coveralls on, which was perfect.
Yeah.
And he just got waist deep and just cut that thing, and it was like there was a job to do, and there was no preparation. Just, you already got the chainsaw, just go do it. And that was a big lesson for me. Like if there's something that needs to be done, the time to do it is right now. And
I don't know how many times I heard this, and I know you did too. I'd say, well, Daddy, I can't do this. And he said, sorry, Can't doesn't work here anymore. Can't got fired. And then you'd proceed to do it.
Yeah.
Because Can't doesn't work here anymore. And all the grandkids ask them about Can't, and they'll tell you Can't doesn't work here anymore. He got fired.
Yeah. That's a really simple philosophy, but I remember him saying that just a ton, and it's like once you just flip your mind and say, oh, well, I guess I can try, and then most of the time you end up, whatever it is, you end up doing it.
Yeah.
and it's just a simple mindset switch.
Yeah, yeah. He was one of the smartest men I ever knew. His formal education ended at the 8th grade, and soon after that he joined the Navy as soon as he was old enough, and went over to the South Pacific and fought in he drove a boat called a landing craft tank, and the boat went from the ship out in the bay to the shore and back, and a lot of times he'd go between boats delivering supplies and picking up stuff, and he would tell me stories about that and some of the stuff he saw. Where he never did talk a lot about it, but if you ask him a specific question, he would answer the question, but he wouldn't generally go into a lot of details. But mainly his life was like a lot of people that were born right before the Great Depression. They didn't know the word no. They might not have had any money. They might not have had a job, but they knew they had to eat and provide for their family. They just did it, and so my parents, they're the biggest inspiration that I've had, and so like that log splitter over there, when I got it, it was busted, didn't work, and I'd never done any kind of hydraulic work on any kind of machine like that, and I said, well, I bet I can figure it out, and so I worked on it, and sure enough, it works now, and that's something my dad would have done. He would take something that he didn't know anything about it. He'd never been taught it, but he just did it because that was the only way you had to do. They didn't have a choice.
And he didn't have YouTube.
He did not have YouTube. Yeah.
One of the things I really admire about Memaw is, and Pepaw too, is that I don't know how old she was. I know you were young, and she went back to school and got her master's degree, and she was a school teacher and ended up working her way up to principal, and was probably at that time one of the most well-educated women in the country. I mean, at a time when, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't feel like there were a lot of women going for higher education as opposed to now. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot more women in higher education than men, but back then I don't think it was as common. Is that right?
No, it wasn't. We went to see her get her master's degree at Stephen F. Austin, and we also saw her get a bachelor's degree from Sam Houston State University. It wasn't called Sam Houston State University, down in Huntsville, but she went back to school when she was in her 30s, and that was one of those things that was just pretty much unheard of for a woman to go back to college, but she didn't think anything about it. She just did it. She decided she wanted to be a teacher, and she went back and went 3 straight years and got her bachelor's. 3 straight years. For 3 years, that's all she did was go to school. And we watched her. My brothers and I watched her do that. She'd come home and she'd study all the time. She's studying all the time. She's either studying or driving back and forth the 30 miles to Houston, to Huntsville. And so we watched that, and we didn't know it at the time, but it was an awesome example of determination. And then she decided, after she'd been teaching a while, she decided she wanted to be like a principal. And to do that, you have to have your master's degree. And so she went, we were living in Longview at the time, and so she drove from Longview to Nacogdoches to Stephen F. Austin, and got her, and doing it mostly at night, and got her master's. And she wound up being a principal of a special education school. They call it Longview Resource Center, and she did that until she retired, and so anytime I ever thought, man, this is hard, or can I do this, I think of her doing that and think, you know, if she did that, well then so can I.
Yeah.
And so blessed in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've gone back somewhat late in life, and you're a pilot now, and you took your first flight lesson at 53 years old.
54.
54.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't have any money. I wanted to fly for a long time, but until I was 54, we didn't have any spare money for flying lessons because putting kids through school, that takes a lot of money, and
we appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so Ann and I were out in the yard one day, and a little airplane was flying around practicing, doing stalls, and I was watching. I said I could do that, and she said, well, you need to stop talking about it and go do it. And I said really, you think so? And she said, yeah. She said, we can afford flying lessons. And the next day I called my boss and said, I'm gonna be out for a few days, and he said, you okay? And I said, yeah, I'll be out for a few days, but I'll be back Monday. This was like Tuesday or Wednesday. And so I just drove to the airport, to a little place called Northwest Regional Airport, and they had a flight school there. And said, who do I need to talk to about some flying lessons? And here I was 54 years old, and all their other students were in their teens or early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And just come over here, Pops. You're in the right place. And they hooked me up with a 20-year-old kid, a guy named Dave Sure, and he taught me how to fly. He flies C-5 Galaxies for the Air Force now, so
wow,
he's done all right for himself. I'm proud of him. And then I just fell in love with flying, and decided I wanted to do that and for a living, but I was still working at Pilgrim, and that was my job.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I was, bought into a partnership for a little airplane, a little 4-place low-wing single-engine Cheetah, and I started flying it to go see customers for work, and decided if I wanted to make it really practical, I had to get my instrument rating so I could fly in the clouds and rain at night and stuff and be safe. Safety is not job one, it's job 3 or 4. Fun is really job 1. Anybody tells you safety is job 1, that's a boring place.
You'd never get off the ground.
You'd never
if
get
it
off
was
the
all
ground.
about safety, you'd never leave your house.
That's exactly right. So I got my instrument rating, and then my commercial and my multi rating, and after I retired from Pilgrim, I had, I don't know, about 1,500 hours or something total, and you have to have 1,200 hours to go to work for a freight hauling operation, what they call Part 135, and so I interviewed with a company that does UPS contract work called MartinAir, and they fly caravans, and the Caravan is just an awesome airplane, big airplane, close to 9,000 pound gross, and turbine engine up front. And anyway, interviewed with them and hired on, and started flying a UPS air route, and just enjoyed the heck out of it. And I was working just an awful lot, flying all the time, 6 days a week, and I decided afterward, that I just didn't want to work all the time. I was missing a lot of time with grandkids and Ann, because and a job like that, you're gone 6 days a week pretty much. And while I enjoyed the flying, I said, for a retired guy, this is too much time away from home.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave my notice, and we parted friends, and so now I've got time to do everything, the things around here that I like, all the chores, and so that's kind of it.
Yeah, Well, I'm proud that you did that, because you know what, Michael and I grew up around the airport because you were always going out and polishing planes, or taking us to air shows, or riding in the back of the T6 in an air show, and it was always your dream. We always knew that you were going to learn to fly, and then you did it, and uh, shortly after, I got my private. Well, let's see. So that was 15 years ago, and I got my private pilot license probably 8 or 9 years ago. Um, but it's an inspiration that you set your mind on something, and uh, maybe you can't do it right now, but that doesn't mean never.
Mm-hmm.
You keep your dreams and follow your dreams, um, and then you found out that freight hauling isn't for you, but you still fly, and still enjoy that, and have spread it to others. And there are not just me, but my brother flies, and a lot of other people fly, because you've taken them up and sparked the love of aviation. How many people would you say you've encouraged to learn to fly? Me and Michael, that's 2.
Yeah, okay.
There's got to be more than that.
At least 2.
Yeah.
There quite a few, because I give rides to anybody wanted to ride. I'd take them, and I'd ask them if they want to fly. So you want to sit in the pilot seat? That's the one on the left. And most of the time they say, yeah, I'd like that. And so I put them in the left seat, and I show them. We go through all the checklists and everything to make sure that we didn't forget anything, and then I'd let them take off and just give a little tug, and it'll come off all by itself. And I don't know how many, but there's quite a few. I know of at least a couple of young friends, sons of a friend of mine in Amarillo. I took them up for a ride in the Cheetah, and that's been 5-6 years ago, and now they're both saying that they want to be pilots.
The dad and the son?
Well, the dad went ahead and got his pilot's license, and bought into a partnership on a Cirrus, and his 2 sons are flying, and he said, I thought it was kind of cool. He said this is all your fault, because you took these guys up and let them fly, and now I had to learn how to fly, and they're going to be a pilot, and that's a good thing. You want to pass along the good stuff, and
yeah,
I don't know how many, but it's a bunch, and some people don't care anything about it. They get up and they say, well, you fly, and say, well, anybody can fly. It's just like driving a car,
yeah,
except it goes up and down. Right, left, no big deal. If you can drive a car, you can fly an airplane.
Yeah.
It just got a few rules that you have to obey, and they're the rules of physics. And as long as you don't do anything stupid, well, you can fly and have a good time for a long time.
Yeah. Did you tell him Cessna also makes airplanes? Cirrus isn't the only airplane company out there?
Yes, I told him that. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and he said his wife wanted an airplane that had a parachute on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I told him that only sissies have airplane parachutes, but that's not true. That's not true. I know several guys that fly Cirrus, and it's an awesome plane. It's very
They
nice.
make a very good airplane.
They do,
without a doubt.
They do.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, you're an inspiration, not just to me, but to a lot of others. And
there's a couple of them right there.
well, they almost looked like they were going to collide, but one's
Yeah.
probably 2,000 feet above the other.
Yeah, that's a good thing about collisions in the air. They don't happen very much.
Yeah.
They happen so frequently that when it does happen, it makes the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
Auto accidents happen every day. You never see a headline in the paper says 2 people were killed on Interstate 35 in Dallas yesterday.
Yeah.
But let a little airplane run into the ground, it makes headlines.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. That just shows how safe it is.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, just glad you're here, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of all you guys, my 2 daughters, my 2 sons, and 9 grandkids. That's that can't get any better than that.
It's a good life.
Yep.